armor, mobility and firepower. The A1E1 Independent has none of those. This is the Independent, a British rank 1 premium land ship. The history of this tank goes as follows. During the interwar period, specifically in 1924, the British General Staff requested a new heavy tank design. The Armstrong Siddeley Engineering Group delivered a prototype to the War Office just 2 years later. This prototype had a multi-turret design, featuring a center turret with a 347mm gun, with 4 smaller turrets housing Vickers machine guns mounted around it. A unique feature on the Independent was a small opening on the left side of the tank that allowed for the placement of a stretcher for wounded crew members inside the tank to be pulled out from. Ultimately, the tank was too long and too heavy, with a tendency of wearing the tracks out too quickly. As such, the project ended up being cancelled in 1935. But not before influencing the Soviets to come up with the T-28 and T-35 designs, as well as the Germans to build the Neubaufahrzeug. The only model built sits now on display at the Bovington Tank Museum. This monstrosity sits at a belt rating of 1.3 and will set you back at about 2,100 golden eagles. Which just so happens to be where our sponsor of this video can help you out. If you are on an Android device and you want to earn this tank for free, download the free Golden Eagles app in the description down below and use the code for a 10G starting bonus. Now, where to start with this tank? According to G.Skill, this is the least played British tank in RB at the moment, with only 40 games in the past month. Now, why is that? Well, it's a tier 1. Most people will grind through this rank very quickly. Even with the free-to-play model of War Thunder, to grind the tier 1 really is very quick. On top of that, it's also a rather expensive premium for a tier, and can only be used to research up to and including tier 2 tanks. And honestly, it's just not very good. But it's not really bad either. Let's get the obvious drawbacks out of the way first. This thing is huge. Look at it. It's massive. And it is slow. It is supposed to have a 32 km/h top speed, but honestly, most of the time you'll only be slugging around at around 20 km/h at the most. You only reach the top speed in the downhill, if that. The traverse speed, as you can expect from a tank this long, is also rather bad. It will take you about a couple of months to turn the tank around. So mobility isn't really a thing. What about armor? Armor isn't really a thing either. 28mm at best, it has something like 14mm in the back. Yeah, you're not really going to block many shots. That being said, however, the deck is filled with junk, and the MG turrets, together with the faces of your poor machine gunners, can actually act as decent spaced armor, and you can absorb some shells that way. Speaking of the MG gunners, they are mostly useless. You can't even get the guns up into the sky to shoot at aircraft most of the time. That said, the machine guns have once saved me when an AA truck, a Russian AA truck, flanked around me and I wasn't able to get my main turret around in time. The machine gunners spray them down. So you can use the machine guns at least to spray down open-top vehicles or vehicles that have no armor whatsoever. Russian AA trucks, the swords. Now the gun, the main 47mm gun is interesting. I'm pretty sure it's unique to this tank with this 47mm caliber, and it can fire around every 3 seconds with a fully trained crew. That is very, very fast. However, it only has access to a single shell, which is a... wait, what? It's an AP8E shell? In the British tech tree? Well, yes, but don't get your hopes up too high. The shell has a maximum penetration of 55mm and only has about 15 grams of TNT in it. The problem is the fuse, which is a very high sensitivity of 25mm. This means that either you're going to have problems penetrating the front of the enemy tank, or you're going to go through the side without detonating the shell, making it essentially act like an AP shell. So why the heck would you bother with this thing then? It doesn't have armor, it doesn't have a mobility, it doesn't have firepower. What do you do with this thing? You're actually going to be surprised when I say this, but this thing is actually a seal clubber. Now, besides of course the obvious point here, the average skill level at this battle rating being pretty much equal to that of a hamster in a wheel, the Independent does have one major advantage, and that is meat. With a total of 8 crew, you don't really need armor to tank shots. Now, don't get me wrong, a Panzer II or an AA vehicle that catches you from the side or rear and sprays down the entire tank is absolutely going to destroy you. But most people have no idea how to kill a tank quickly, and they panic when they see this thing since it's so huge and so rare. So they shoot the wrong spots over and over again, and you have the crew reserves to really take that. When you combine this great survivability with a very, very fast firing gun, and you've got yourself the closest thing to a TOG 2 in War Thunder. Now, I haven't really had the chance to, but I have a feeling that this thing might be even more fun to play in a squad. Imagine a 4-man squads of Independents rolling down the battlefield, shooting noobs left and right. So, the final verdict, is the A1E1 Independent worth it? Honestly, if you're going to pay for it yourself, probably not. You've got better and cheaper land ships in the German and Russian tech tree. That said, if you're going to work for it through the GE app, for example, and you can get some friends to play along, it can be a lot of fun to just slug around the battlefield and seal club the noobs. But this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you lads have enjoyed a little look at something very low tier, really an area that I usually don't delve into at all. Maybe I've convinced some of you guys to get Independent and play it out. I would really like to see this tank being played out more, just because it is fun, as long as the enemy doesn't know what they're doing, which is kind of why I didn't really specify how you kill this thing. Yeah, I might have my bias here. Anyways lads, if you're new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to never miss one of my uploads. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. My name is MikeGoesBoom, and thank you for watching. You can lift your head up to the